All right, hi everyone. How's it going? And welcome to another video. Now, it's been a while since I've done a YouTube video. It's been about 4 months, and that's just because I've been busy. I got sick. It was not COVID, but I did get sick for a bit. I've been working on paintings. I've been trying to get some paintings out in another video, and just other things have come up where I haven't been able to do any videos. Now, I know where I left off with my videos, which was about 4 months ago. I was doing movie reviews. Someone had requested that I do a movie review on a movie called The Deaths of Ian Stone. I said I would do this. I actually watched the movie and I was about to do it, but then a lot of things got in the way and I just never got around to it, but it's been on my mind ever since. I really wanted to do this movie review because I did watch the movie. I had to watch it again for this video just because it had been about 4 months and I kind of forgot some key details with the film. So, what I'm going to be doing today is doing a movie review on the 2007 film The Deaths of Ian Stone. Now, people seem to have mixed feelings about this movie. Some people like it, some people don't really care for it all that much. Me, I thought the movie was okay. I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. It's the kind of movie that probably looked really good on paper because it does have a very unique story. I mean, the whole premise of this is very unique. Yet you don't really see this a lot. It is influenced by other things, but the basic premise is pretty original. And, I could see where something like that would look very good on paper, but sometimes movies look really good on paper, but then when they're actually formatted into the visual format, something gets lost. And that's clearly what happened with this film. Yeah, I know there's a movie I like where the opposite is true. There's a movie that came out in 1977. It's a horror film starring Peter Cushing called Shockwaves, and it's about Nazi zombies. And when you tell anyone that it's a film about Nazi zombies, they immediately assume it's an awful movie because that sounds awful. It sounds terrible. But in all actuality, it's a good movie with a lot of really creepy atmosphere. It's done very well and very cool kind of a way. But, when you see something like that on paper, it sounds terrible. Well, the opposite was true here. I'm sure this looked really good on paper, but then when you watch the movie, it just wasn't that great. Now, it's about a character by the name of Ian Stone. He starts out, he's like a hockey player. Apparently, he's in England because everyone else has British accents. He's the only one with an American accent. The actor who plays Ian Stone was actually in the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Uh, Anyways, he's playing hockey, and from what I remember, I think the game is a draw. He leaves with his girlfriend, a woman by the name of Jenny, and as they're walking toward their car, they notice a man laying on the street. And Ian Stone walks up to him. As soon as Ian Stone walks up to this guy just laying on the street, the guy gets up, grabs Ian Stone, and throws him onto some subway tracks. Train comes and it hits Ian Stone, and immediately Ian Stone is zapped into another life. He doesn't die. He enters another life, almost reminiscent of the Scott Bakula TV series Quantum Leap. You definitely see where it's probably influenced by that. But he's now in this other life where he's an office worker. and Jenny is a co-worker, but he's married to a different woman, and the woman he's married to is that woman. I forgot her name, but she played in the second season of Dexter, and that's his either wife or girlfriend. I forgot which. But he's in this other life. He's trying to remember what had happened to him, but he can't seem to remember certain things. All of a sudden, he notices these creatures are coming after him. And these creatures, you find out later, are called harvesters. And I don't know, I guess you could maybe call them demons. They're kind of like demons, but not really. Well, they're demon like. Well, anyways, he encounters an older man, and the older man tells him about these harvester creatures, and he says that they feed on people's fear. So they're kind of parasitic in that way. However, these harvesters found out that if they could attack a person and get them near death, that would cause the fear to be even more potent, and they would gain more energy from that. So that's what these creatures do. They basically go from just feeding off their fear to actually attacking and killing people to get this more potent fear energy. Well, turns out these creatures are trying to get Ian Stone. He doesn't know why. Another one of them, actually the wife or girlfriend, ends up killing Ian Stone again. You find out she's one of these harvesters. And these harvesters have these like long appendages, kind of like praying mantis, sort of. Anyways, she ends up killing him. He's now in another life, this time as a cab driver, and he keeps dying. He dies again, and he becomes like just this like unemployed individual. Then he dies again, and he's a junkie. But each time he dies, his girlfriend Jenny is there. So although he's dying, he's just kind of like zapped into these different realities. That part, I don't know, it also kind of has some influence, I think, from the film Butterfly Effect. There's definitely, I got a sense of that as well from this. Anyways, these creatures are coming after him. You find out the older man is actually one of the harvesters. Then it's revealed that Ian Stone himself is one of these harvesters. And as he leaps into these different lives, as he keeps dying, he's able to regain more memories. And he realizes that he was one of these harvesters. However, he was able to kill one. And these harvesters cannot die. That's one of their traits. They can't die. But he was able to kill one. So how did he do it? And these harvesters are trying to find out how he might have done this. How did he kill one of these one of these harvesters? And what ends up happening is they eventually are able to grab a hold of him, tie him down, and they're going to try to use some sort of a syringe to extract information from his brain somehow to find out how he managed to do this. Now, why they didn't just do this in the beginning, I do not know. They could have just done this right from the get-go, but they didn't. One of the flaws of the movie right there. Well, why didn't they do that? So anyways, they tie him down. Why didn't they do this from the beginning? Why did they have to kill him all these times? I mean, that didn't make any sense because he's one of these harvesters and he can't die a normal death. Well, it turns out what actually happened was he fell in love. He was one of these harvesters, and he rebelled against the harvesters because he fell in love with this girl, Jenny, and he wanted to live the normal life of a human and not be a harvester anymore. However, when the harvesters found out about this and they came to kill him, he was able to gain a lot of energy, and the energy that he gained that was extremely potent, more powerful than the energy they're getting from people, which is the pain energy before death. He was able to get an even more powerful energy, and the energy that he got was love. Was love energy from Jenny. So this love energy enabled him to become like superpowered and kill one of these harvesters. So it's kind of like he killed the harvester with the power of love. Now I know that sounds cliche. A lot of people probably, think of that as being very cliche. However, in this movie, that actually works. I felt like that kind of worked in this type of movie. But anyways, at the end, he has this final showdown with these harvesters, and for some reason, he transforms into a harvester. Now, the way the harvesters look, kind of look like the ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings. They sort of look like that. They have this like CGI mist all over them. There's some practical effects, but there's also CGI effects. I didn't think they looked terrible. Some people seem to think they looked terrible, but I didn't think they looked that bad. Anyways, for some reason, Ian Stone, when he turns into a harvester, he gets this long blonde hair. Why does he? Who knows? But it's kind of weird that he all of a sudden gets this long blonde hair when he becomes a harvester. And then they have a final showdown. He's able to beat the harvesters. So it kind of, in a way, almost becomes a superhero movie toward the end. Now, this is labeled a horror film. I did not think that it was a horror film. I thought that it would, if you were to classify it as anything or label it, should be labeled science fiction. I know this movie was actually a part of this like series called 8 Movies to Die For, and this was regarded as a horror film, but like I said, it's not really. But anyways, sort of almost becomes a superhero film at the end, where he's fighting against these harvesters, and then he beats them, and he gets to kind of create his own reality now with his girlfriend Jenny. So that was the movie. That was the gist of it. Like I said, 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was okay. I did not think it was great, although it was an interesting concept that, like I said, probably came off real well on paper, but didn't really translate into a film all that well. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I thought about it. Because one thing that happens, and I've always heard this with films, is that, the filmmaker and the writers, could have a vision for a film, but then the studio could distort that vision and kind of do their own thing. And therefore, the filmmaker will lose creative control. Seems like that happened with this movie. You watch these like Star Wars documentaries, you see George Lucas dealt with that exact same thing, but he had a way of kind of going around the studio, so he could maintain full creative control of his movies. But yeah, that was definitely appeared to be the case here. It seems like maybe the studio had changed a lot of things, and the movie ended up not being nearly as good as it could have been. Also, the look of the film, this was clearly influenced by films like Dark City and The Matrix and The Crow, and it just didn't have all the cool imagery those movies had. It just didn't have a real good look. And even a low budget film, this is an independent film, could have a real cool look. I mean, in the 70s, a lot of those horror movies really benefited very well from having that, technicolor-y kind of crackly, sort of Super 8 kind of look. That worked out very well for horror films back then. It really did. But here, yeah, I just didn't really care for the look a whole lot. I didn't think the look of the film was just really great. And I know other people have mentioned that as well. I agree with them there. But yeah, like I said, you can see an influence of movies like Dark City on this. You could see an influence of The Matrix, especially toward the end where the harvesters are wearing these like leather trench coats. Then it really seemed kind of Matrixy at that point. But yeah, that's my movie review of the film The Deaths of Ian Stone. And, 3 out of 5 stars. Now, someone had asked me to do another movie review. The movie is The City of Lost Children. I think that's the movie I'm going to review next because I remember hearing about that film a lot in the 90s. I've never seen it, but people were telling me you've got to see this. I believe that's an independent film as well, so I would like to do a movie review on that. And, someone asked me to do it, so now I have reason to do it. So if you watched this video, as always, I thank you for watching. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but like I said, just haven't had the time to put one up. So it's good to be back. It's good to do another video. So if you watch this, like I just said, I thank you for watching and have a good night.